And welcome everyone to a late Monday afternoon chat here about the Power 36 and the AP poll. I'm Andy Katz from March Madness 365, and the NCAA.com team here. First off, on our podcast, March Madness 365, that we will put out on Tuesday, December 22nd, we will have Joel Lenardi, Ken Pomeroy, Kevin Pauga. All three members of a sort of a basketball stakeholders power ranking system, all have a say in really how we follow this game throughout the course of the season. And also Deuce McBride from West Virginia. He will join me. We talked after the win over Iowa State. Cats ranks. Interesting sort of gifts for the 2021 season. See if you agree with me on some of my top 10 wishes for the season. All right, Power 36. No problems with the top 2, 3, 4, you could argue. I didn't drop Iowa that far because Garza's still at 30. They hung for a little while in the second half, but they lost to the best team in the country on a neutral court. Houston want to see more, but I didn't move them. Texas, really good win over Oklahoma State. West Virginia, they escaped Iowa State, but I still think they're playing like a top 10 team. Tennessee came back off a pause, looked very good. Michigan State, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. I dropped them from 4 to 10 after losing at Northwestern Sunday night. They didn't play well. And I think Northwestern's much better than people think, especially after they really should have beaten Pitt at home, let that game slip away. And AP has them at 12. After that, Creighton, I did drop further back because they lost a home game. They dropped to 13 in the AP. You can challenge me on that. I moved Xavier way up to 17. Xavier cracks in at 22. I gave a lot of love to North Carolina, but we're comparable there as I'm looking here. Rutgers, we're right there, 11-12. Now, for whatever reason, I don't understand why it's taken so long for AP to jump on the Missouri bandwagon, but they finally have 14 versus 11, which is where I have them. So we're in the same ballpark. Texas Tech is very interesting to me. So they're at 15 in the AP poll. Okay. They passed the eye test, but they still haven't beaten anyone of note. 2 up games, lost them both, Houston and Kansas. That's why I got them at 27. Red Raider Nation, you know I'm a huge fan of Chris Beard's Fireside Chats, been on there many times, and the program and everything they're doing down in Lubbock I think is A+. But, got to beat some named teams. Let's see what happens here going forward. That's why I dropped them further down, which I think will be challenging for them. All right, so Illinois, 19, 18, pretty close. So I wasn't ready to go in on Duke yet. You know, they're still in the top 25. Yes, they won at Notre Dame without Jalen Johnson, but right now, what is Notre Dame? You know, Notre Dame beat a Kentucky team that's 1-5, and Notre Dame lost to Purdue, which lost to Miami. So I'm going to wait on Duke. Duke haters are going to be all over me. I know that. But or people think I hate on Duke, which is not true. But once again, Duke, like Texas Tech, needs to show a little bit more. Ohio State, Virginia Tech, I bounced out from the previous week. They have them in because they knocked off Clemson. That's fair. Maybe I should have kept them in because they beat Clemson. I kept Clemson at the back end of my Power 36. St. Louis, I dropped. Hey, Minnesota, I got a 26. I'd be curious how high they were in the AP poll because they beat St. Louis. So I had them right there. BYU, 24, won at San Diego State. And San Diego State drops off of that one in the AP. Richmond, UCLA, UConn loses they lost in overtime to Creighton at home. I love the way Stanford played to knock off Arizona. And Arkansas, they got to play someone here. Ronnie Timberlake, who cares what your ranking is? Then Ronnie, why are you watching this? Okay? See ya. All right? If you don't care. We don't need you. Best team in the ACC, Jacob Stevens. I'll tell you right now, The best team is probably North Carolina. Will that hold up? We'll see. I think Virginia still could be. Florida State still could be. And maybe Duke can be by the end of the season. I'm not quite sure Clemson can be. Logan Spurlock, thoughts on West Virginia? That was a great gut check win against Iowa State because they got pushed in that game, but they found a way to win. All right, so very intriguing game this week against Kansas. Kyle thinks UConn's going to win the Big East. I disagree. I think it's going to be Villanova. Isaiah, how do I feel about North Carolina? I just told you. I think they could be the best team in the ACC. Thoughts on BYU, Joey Parker? Monster win against San Diego State on the road. Alex Barcelo is really playing at a high level. Samuel says, how come Iowa dropped? They only lost by 10. Look, I dropped them 3-5. AP, they dropped to 4. You know, I'm surprised Villanova's behind Iowa. Villanova has played a tougher schedule overall. Thoughts on Rutgers? They're deserving of all the attention. Great week. Ron Harper Jr. is playing first team All Big Ten with what he's done so far. Tremendous. Mike Calvert. Gonzaga could end up having the best non-conference resume ever. Sure. If they pick up the Baylor game, yes, that could happen. Kyle, can San Diego State get back in the top 25 next week? In the AP top 25, maybe. Got to see what happens. Let's see, what else? Shane says, RIP my Illini. No, don't. Rutgers is really good. Kofi Coburn destroyed Minnesota. They're going to be fine. The Big Ten is really good. You're going to lose on the road, fans or no fans. It's okay. Kyle, where's Book Knight in my top players of the year? He had 40 points. I saw these people in my feed. How could James Book Knight not be player of the week? They lost. They played well. They lost in overtime to Creighton at home. He was phenomenal. He had 40. You can't be player of the week and lose the game. Luka Garza had 30. They lost to Gonzaga. Jalen Suggs had 27. They won. It's pretty simple. John says Syracuse gets no respect. Well, their game against Notre Dame not happening because of contact tracing issues with Buffalo being on pause. I think it'll be made up. Look, they played great against BC. That margin shocked me. Buddy Boeheim came back and they shot the ball tremendously well. I agree, Jacob, on Florida State playing a hot UCF. That's why UCF gets some love from me at 36. Beat Auburn, beat Florida State. Only loss was to Michigan. Where does Michigan finish in the Big Ten, says Isaac. I think Michigan finishes probably 6th. Tennessee, Bryce. They're the best team in the SEC right now. If they're 1, Missouri is 1B. Who has the best chance to win the Big 12? It's still Baylor, but Kansas, West Virginia, Texas Tech are going to be right there. I think that next tier is Oklahoma State, and TCU in some order. Game of the week, Joey. It might be Wisconsin, Michigan State on Christmas Day. It's crazy that it's not Louisville, Kentucky on Saturday. Gonzaga, Virginia, and Fort Worth. But I'm going to go with Michigan State, Wisconsin on Christmas Day. I think that'll be the game of the day. Thoughts on Mizzou? They're old. We talked about them last week. I think they're going to end up being right there with Tennessee to win the SEC. A fully healthy Ohio State, Tristan, they're going to cause problems for people. We saw that in their win over UCLA. Duke played really well, but their guards made shots against Notre Dame. They didn't against Illinois or Michigan State, if I'm not mistaken. Either game. And when Stewart makes shots, that's a difference for them. He did without Jalen Johnson, and they won the game. And Notre Dame didn't play well. So Joe says West Virginia wins in the Fog. Well, if there's ever a year to win the Fog, it's this year because you're not going to have a full house. You'll get to my prediction on that on the pod. Jeff Smith, thoughts on Dayton? Great win over Ole Miss, late possession game. I think Dayton's going to be right there on that bubble line because I think St. Louis and Richmond are getting in, and I think Dayton could be the third out of the A-10. Mark Everly out of the Power 5. Well, obviously Gonzaga is going to make a run because they're going to get a chance to win the championship. Power Five, you're not including the Big East there, so that would be Villanova, Creighton, Houston could make a run. All those teams could. Will BYU make the tournament, asks Peyton, and I will say yes, they will. Last question from Scott. What do I think of the tournament in one site, NBA-like? So it'll be a controlled environment. It's going to be in one area. Still are not official whether or not it's just downtown Indianapolis or it's extended within the state, but it's the only way to do it. Deal with one state health code, one set of protocols, one governor. It's going to be wild. It's going to be kind of like the Olympics. A couple of weeks, games every day is my prediction. I don't know this for sure, but I think we're going to be having games every day over a period of time. Why would you need to take days off when you're all in one area? So I think it's going to be tremendous. And I think it's the best way, the only way to do it. We're not going to be on the other side of this, obviously, till the summer, once the vaccination is more widespread, or vaccinations are more widespread. So it's the way we got to do it. I'm going to be positive. We're having more games played than canceled. There are fewer teams on pause than we've had really at any time in the last month. Once we get fully into conference games, you're going to see those games get made up. Okay, we are going to get through the season much more, I think, easier, loose term, easier, in January and February than we certainly were in November and December, because I think it's going to be easier to make up these conference games with more flexibility. So I'm going to be positive, fingers crossed. We're going to keep having what we've already had, great games. The level of play has been much better than I think we all anticipated. All right, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, stay safe, everyone. We'll talk after the holidays. There are games this week. Enjoy them on Christmas Day. 4 Big Ten games and games on the 26th. Gonzaga, Virginia, and Louisville, Kentucky. Get to all our social media handles on March Madness on our Facebook account. You're watching it here. And then, of course, NCAA.com. Thanks to everyone. Stay safe, everyone. We'll talk again next week.